everyone, welcome to the another video for building a React application using a Spring Boot. So far what we built is we built the React application little bit. We created the layout header, and we also created the customer folder, and we created the customer component here, and this is a list of this the data which is showing from the JXX. But now we are fetching a data from the API which we created in Spring Boot, and we're going to show it here. All right, so to do that, let's go in right click here and open in terminal. Let's go in next terminal of the same the folder, and we need to install something called Axios. So I'm using the Axios npm to install to use the API. So basically this is the similarly like observer, not observer, sorry, this is similarly like a HTTP client where we can do a get request, fetch request, stuff like that. So I already installed the Axios, so now I could use this Axios on my React applications. Okay, let's import that Axios from from Axios. All right, once I import it, so now let's create here the couple of these React states. So how the React application really works is it works with a state and props. In a state is where you can define your data there, and you can update it the data. So that's the state, and the state is it belongs to the component, and this is what we have is a customer. So customer, we can create a state here. What are the customer of the state, and we can change using the set functions. So I'm going to show it later on. And there is a props also that you guys can use. The props is basically the children of the, if there is any children of this customer, then you can send the data there. That's how the props works. I'm going to show you the both of the example now. So let's using props here. So in a class-based component, you can not props, sorry, state. In a class-based component, there is a state. You can define the state, and on that state, you could do a set state using the set state function. But we are using the function-based component, so we have to use something called use state. So when you do a use state, then it will create the constant of the state and set state. And we will tell them the initial state for this state is empty array, and we have to import this use state also from React. So we'll tell that this state is going to be customer state, and this set will tell that this is a set customer state. So at the first time when this application load, this will give me an empty array. So I can also print that in JXS using this curly bracket, and I can do console.log, and I can print it out here. So once I did, well, you guys see here in the console, we will see the empty array, right? Now, what we have to do is we have to call our API from which we created in Spring Boot, and we need to load this data from the API. That's our next mission. So let's do that. To do that, we need to know that when this component first time load, we want to trigger that event. That's a lifecycle event. So to do the lifecycle event, we use something called use effect. So there are others like when the component will close or the component will change, can also use by the use effect. But for this video, for now, I'm gonna only use a use effect when the function component first time load. So when this guy first time load, this function will call. If you want to say the example here, then you just need to save here, and when you save this guy should load. But first we also need to import this as use effect. So now df is loaded. So when the function component will load first time, this guy will call. That's all it does. It's a life cycle event. And similarly, like a component will mount or component did mount on the class-based component. All right. So now here, when this component will load, we need to call the function call get customer. So this we create this constant get customer, It's better to create a constant because you can't initiate these constants later on. It will only insert at first time, only one time. So when you get this customer, we'll call the Axios, and Axios will get the URL. We will provide it, and it will get the then promise back, and yeah, and we'll get the data here, and eh, we can also catch if there is any error. Okay, so everything is done. Now we need to provide here what is the URL for the Spring Boot application, which is still running. So it's a 8080 port 8080 slash customers. So we can see the list of these JSON. So I'm gonna put this here. So now if I load this, I know that we will see a error. So error is basically we also enable the course. So course is we can enable this course from the in our Spring Boot application. This is just to protect it, our APIs. It will only allow our data to the specific source where we initiate it in our applications, in our Spring Boot applications. So I will go back to here. I will go back to Spring Boot applications here and just need to change on this controller. We will enable the course. Maybe I think just a course. Cross origin. It's cross origin, and we will tell them to when we do star, then it tells the application to give my data to anyone. So I'll just save this. Now if I save this and if I reload this application now, we will see the data here. There's no any restriction. Furthermore, I think we could also copy this guy and we could also put it here. So if I refresh this, network error, maybe not this guy. I think only the local host. Let me check. Yes, this is basically we need to put here the URL. So this will only allow the port 3000 to access this data. This is good. So once we did this here, we don't need to worry about this now. We will get back. We'll put that later on. We'll maybe use later on. So okay. So now when I refresh this, we get the data. So now we need to get this data in our here in table. To do that, we get this data and we have this another function here in React called set customer state. So we'll do use a set customer state and we will pass this data to the there. So this is gonna be data because there is another data is coming in an array. If there is no data, then it will throw you the error. So now we are all getting at this data. This is printing from here, by the way. So it's printing at the first time is empty and second time is this set of object. So anytime we're using this set object, this guy will print. Anytime we're using a set something, this guy will print on JXX. Now once we get this data, now we want to loop this data on this table, on this row right here. So how we loop, we could loop like a similar like a Angular, like a ng4, but we use here much easier JavaScript function itself. So we have this customer state. So we'll just do a set customer. Is a set customer state customer? Yes, state customer dot map. So map is basically similar to what I use in Spring when we update it there. It's exact same thing. So in the map, it's gonna load the data, and in JXS doesn't like this guy, and of course it. I need to put this tr inside. Now it will loop this guy. See, all the data is looping up, but it's giving me exact same data here. But instead of this, I need to loop this d as name and the data as dob and data as a credit limit. So now it will give me the all the data, right? We can also format this data here, exactly right here, using a date function. So here, this is a name, this is a DOB, and the last one is credit limit. Credit limit. All right, and this is going to be ID. So d.id. And Okay, everything looks good. uh, Everything looks good here. I think we don't have an ID1, so let me, yeah, we removed the ID1 before, so we don't have an ID1, but it still give me one error here. So to fix this issue is we have to tell this key here in a row, we have to tell that d.id. So once we do that, now we will see the error is gone. Okay, so but so far we fetched the data and we show the data on this video, but I haven't used any props. Just to show you guys what is the props and how we can use, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create another file and I'm gonna loop only this row in another file using the props. That's I'm gonna show you in next video. So thank you very much for watching this video.